The history of the world is the sum of that which would have been avoidable. I am opposed to all superstition, be it Muslim, Christian, Jewish or Buddhist. Scientists strive to make the impossible possible. Politicians strive to make the impossible possible. Slander is always simple and plausible. To be able to fill leisure in an intelligent way is the ultimate result of civilization. Whether science can long survive depends on psychology. That is, it depends on what human beings desire. A great part of the difficulties through which the world is passing is due to the fact that the ignorant are completely sure and the intelligent are full of doubts. The judicious man only thinks of his evils when it leads to something practical. All other moments are devoted to other things. Among all forms of caution, caution in love is possibly the most lethal to true happiness. The world needs open minds and open hearts, and these cannot be derived from rigid systems whether old or new. Do not think it expedient to act by concealing evidence, for evidence will eventually come to light. Be scrupulous in the truth, even if the truth is uncomfortable, for it is more uncomfortable when you try to hide it. The bottom line is that we know very little, and yet it is amazing how much we know. And even more amazing that so little knowledge can give so much power. The wise use of leisure is a product of civilization and of education. Mathematics may be defined as that subject of which we never know what we say nor whether what we say is true. Much of what passes for idealism is hatred or love of power in disguise. A generation that cannot stand boredom will be a generation of little value. The hardest thing to learn in life is which bridge to cross and which bridge to burn. The prudent man thinks of his difficulties only when it has some object. When not, he thinks of something else. Mathematics possesses not only truth, but a certain supreme beauty. A cold and austere beauty, like that of a sculpture. A symptom that you are approaching a nervous breakdown is to believe that your work is tremendously important. When you encounter opposition, even if it comes from your husband or children, try to overcome it by reason and not by authority, for a victory that depends on authority is unreal and illusory. Be scrupulous in the truth, even if the truth is uncomfortable, for it is more uncomfortable when you try to hide it. It is preoccupation with possessions, more than anything else, that prevents man from living nobly and freely. The good life is a life inspired by love and guided by knowledge. I deliberately assert that the Christian religion, as organized, has been and still is the chief enemy of moral progress in the world. To lack any of the things one desires is an indispensable condition of happiness. Educators, more than any other class of professionals, are the guardians of civilization. As far as I am concerned, I believe that the theoretical principles of communism are false, and I think that the practice of its maxims immeasurably increases human misery. A life among books possesses a very great calm and peace. Rousseau was mad, but he was very influential. Hume was sane, but he had no followers. To fear love is to fear life, and those who fear life are already half dead. Science is never completely right, but it is rarely completely wrong, and it is generally more likely to be right than non-scientific theories. Artists are, as a rule, less happy than men of science. No one should think himself perfect, nor should he worry too much about the fact that he is not perfect. Why repeat old mistakes when there are so many new ones to be made? Man can be scientifically manipulated. What is needed is not the will to believe, but the desire to find out, which is exactly the opposite. The pleasure of mental adventure is much more common in the young than in older men and women. Mankind has a double morality, one that preaches and does not practice, and another that practices and does not preach. It is a waste of energy to be angry with a man who misbehaves, just as it is to be angry with a car that won't start. Do not fear to be eccentric in opinion, for every opinion now accepted was once eccentric. Of all forms of caution, caution in love is perhaps the most fatal to true happiness. To fear love is to fear life, and those who fear life are already 3 parts dead. I would never die for my beliefs because I might be wrong. In all affairs, it's a healthy thing now and then to hang a question mark on the things you have long taken for granted. The hardest thing to learn in life is which bridge to cross and which to burn. Most people would sooner die than think. In fact, they do so. It is the preoccupation with possessions, more than anything else, that prevents us from living freely and nobly. No one gossips about other people's secret virtues.